The little girl looked up, her voice trembling but clear. "Sir, are you a real soldier?" The royal guard didn't flinch. His eyes stared forward, his rifle steady, his boots polished to perfection. He wasn't supposed to move, speak, or even blink. Not for kings, not for tourists, and certainly not for a child. But that question would change everything. The day began like any other. Gray clouds, tourists gathering near the black and gold gates, camera shutters snapping every second. Among the soldiers assigned that morning was Corporal Daniel Harris, a man carved from discipline. 10 years in service. Never broke formation. Never smiled for photos. The perfect image of duty. To Daniel, emotions were distractions. Things he'd buried deep after losing his little sister, Lily, to leukemia when he was just 16. He'd learned that feelings made you weak, and weakness had no place in uniform. But fate had a strange way of unearthing buried hearts. Across the courtyard, a small crowd gathered. A mother lifted her daughter from her wheelchair so she could see better. The girl was frail, her cheeks pale, her little hands trembling in excitement. A rainbow beanie covered her bald head, and her eyes glowed with wonder. Her name was Amelia, 6 years old, fighting cancer with the kind of courage that grown men envy. "Mommy, he looks so serious," she giggled, pointing toward Daniel. Her mother smiled sadly. "He's a royal guard, sweetheart. They're not allowed to move or talk." But Amelia wasn't one to follow rules either. She took a few tiny steps forward, wobbling slightly, her mother calling after her. When she reached the iron gates, she whispered through the bars, "Hi, Mr. Soldier." No response. She waited, then tried again, a little louder this time. "Hi, you're really brave." Still nothing. The crowd smiled sympathetically, a few people recording on their phones. But to Amelia, this wasn't a show. It was something she dreamed about for weeks. Meeting a real hero. Something broke inside Daniel, not out of defiance, but out of humanity. He took one small step forward. Gasps echoed through the crowd. A royal guard never steps out of line. Then, in a move no one could believe, Daniel lowered his rifle, turned, and knelt down, face to face with the little girl. The world seemed to stop. "Hello, soldier," he said softly. Amelia's eyes widened. "You can talk." Daniel smiled faintly. "Only to the bravest of warriors." The mother covered her mouth, tears welling up. Even the tourists went silent. Daniel reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small silver coin. A regimental token, given only to those who'd shown courage under fire. He placed it in Amelia's tiny hand. "From one fighter to another," he said. "Keep being brave." Her lip quivered as she whispered, "Thank you, Mr. Soldier." He nodded, standing tall again. A soldier once more. But that brief act of kindness was about to shake the entire country. Inside his mind, Daniel heard every word. He wanted to look down, to smile, to acknowledge her. But he couldn't. Orders were orders. Yet something about her voice hit deeper than he expected. That soft, innocent tone, full of admiration, not pity. He tried to focus on his training. Breathe. Stand still. Do your duty. But then came the next line. "I'm brave too," Amelia said proudly. "I have to take medicine every day. But sometimes it hurts." Daniel's jaw tightened. His breath caught for just a second, enough for one nearby guard to notice. And then Amelia smiled, holding up a small plastic medal on a string. "My doctor gave me this. Said I'm a fighter. Royal Guard breaks protocol for little girl battling cancer and wins every heart in Britain." Millions watched the moment. The stoic soldier bowing to innocence, the symbol of discipline surrendering to compassion. Daniel was called to his superior's office that evening. The tension in the air was thick. "Corporal Harris," his commander began, voice cold. "You broke royal protocol in front of hundreds of witnesses. You understand the seriousness of that?" Daniel saluted. "Yes, sir." A long pause followed. Then the commander leaned back and sighed. "Normally, I'd issue a formal reprimand, but not today." He turned his screen toward Daniel. A photo of Amelia, smiling with the silver coin in her hand. "The palace received hundreds of letters this morning," he said quietly. "Families thanking you, soldiers inspired by you. You didn't dishonor the uniform, Corporal." You reminded the world what it truly stands for. Daniel's eyes burned with emotion he couldn't show. He simply nodded, whispering, "Thank you, sir." Weeks later, Daniel was invited to a private event at St. Mary's Hospital. There, among the pediatric wing's walls painted with rainbows and stars, he saw her again. Amelia ran to him, arms open, the silver coin still around her neck. "See, I'm still fighting," she said proudly. Daniel knelt once more, smiling. "I never doubted it for a second." He handed her a small box wrapped in red ribbon. Inside was a miniature Royal Guard hat, handcrafted just for her. "Now you're officially one of us," he said. Amelia grinned, her laughter echoing through the room. Pure, unstoppable joy. Months later, after Amelia's passing, her story became a global symbol of courage. The photograph of her and Daniel, soldier and child, face to face, hung in the Royal Guard's hall. Below it, a plaque read, "For those who fight battles we cannot see." Every new recruit who joined the Guards was told her story, not as a lesson in discipline, but as a reminder of compassion. In a world built on rules and silence, one soldier remembered what his uniform truly meant. Not obedience, but honor. And sometimes true honor isn't standing tall. It's knowing when to kneel. If this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes that kindness is the greatest act of courage. Because sometimes the strongest hearts wear armor.